Imagine sipping a glass of red wine. Now imagine doing it with a crushed pearl worth half a kingdom dissolved in vinegar. Sounds outrageous, right? Well, welcome to the world of Cleopatra, the queen who redefined glamour, power, and sheer audacity. Today, you're about to dive headfirst into 50 insane facts that will flip everything you thought you knew about the last pharaoh of Egypt. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover how Cleopatra spoke 9 languages, rode elephants, and once convinced a Roman general to make her son his heir. We'll peel back layers of palace intrigue, poison plots, secret love letters, and daring escapes that read like spy thrillers. You'll learn about her beauty rituals involving donkey milk baths, the gold coins she minted with her own face, and the scientific manuscript she supposedly penned on women's health. And yes, we'll even explore the mystery surrounding her death. Snake bite? Or carefully administered venom? So buckle up, because we're about to journey from Alexandria's marble halls to Rome's marble forums, from battlefield strategy to bedroom diplomacy. By fact number 1, you'll be convinced she was part goddess. By fact number 25, you'll wonder if anything about her life wasn't legendary. And by fact 50, you'll be ready to crown her the most unforgettable ruler in history. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's unravel the legend of Cleopatra, fact by unbelievable fact, starting right now. Fact number 1. Cleopatra spoke at least 9 languages fluently. Cleopatra wasn't just a stunning beauty or a brilliant strategist. She was a linguistic powerhouse. By most accounts, she mastered Greek and the native Egyptian tongue, a rarity for her Ptolemaic line, plus at least 7 more languages used across the Mediterranean and Near East. Imagine negotiating with Roman senators in Latin one moment, then switching to Arabic. Well, its ancient predecessor. The next, before flattering Ethiopians or impressing Jewish dignitaries in their own dialect. This polyglot talent meant she could hear whispers in foreign courts without a translator, build trust through direct conversation, and truly connect with the diverse peoples under her rule. In a world where language barriers often sparked war, Cleopatra's gift for speech was one of her deadliest and most underrated tools. Fact number 2. Cleopatra was the only Ptolemaic ruler to learn Egyptian, in addition to Greek. Most Ptolemaic pharaohs treated Egypt as an exotic realm, conducting court affairs entirely in Greek. Cleopatra broke that tradition. She mastered Demotic Egyptian and probably hieroglyphs, enabling her to address temple priests directly, read sacred inscriptions, and win genuine respect from native Egyptians. By speaking their language fluently, she demonstrated real solidarity with her subjects, something no other Ptolemaic sovereign had done, and reinforced her image as a true Egyptian monarch, not merely a foreign occupier. Fact number 3. Cleopatra once dissolved a priceless pearl in vinegar to win a bet with Mark Antony. According to Roman writer Pliny, Cleopatra wagered she could host the most expensive dinner in history. To prove her point, she crushed the largest pearl in the Roman treasury, a gem rumored to belong to Venus herself, into vinegar until it melted, then drank the liquid mixed into wine. The pearl alone was valued at millions in today's terms. Antony reportedly gaped in disbelief. This extravagant display served as both a demonstration of her wealth and a dramatic power play that cemented her reputation for luxury and daring. Fact number 4. She wrote a medical treatise called Cosmetics of Cleopatra on women's health. Ancient sources claim that Cleopatra authored a guidebook on skincare and gynecological remedies. Though no complete copy survives, references suggest it contained recipes for herbal salves, face masks, and treatments for menstrual cramps, blending Egyptian and Greek medical knowledge. She likely drew on Alexandria's world-class physicians and botanical gardens. As a learned ruler, Cleopatra not only used these beauty rituals herself, but shared them with noble women across the Mediterranean, boosting her cultural prestige and reinforcing Alexandria's status as a center of science and medicine. Fact number 5. Cleopatra bathed in donkey milk for its alleged skin-rejuvenating properties. Legend holds that she commissioned hundreds of donkeys to produce milk for daily baths. Donkey milk is rich in lactic acid, which gently exfoliates and moisturizes skin. Pliny and later medieval writers praised this regimen, claiming it left her complexion flawless. Whether it's myth or medical insight, this story underscores how Cleopatra merged practical science with showmanship. By publicizing such exotic beauty routines, she reinforced her exotic allure and positioned herself as the ultimate authority on glamour. Fact number 6. She made her grand entrance to Julius Caesar, rolled up inside a carpet. When Roman civil war threatened Alexandria, Cleopatra needed direct access to Caesar's chambers, without her brother's guards noticing. Guards carried in what looked like a luxurious Persian rug, then unfurled it before Caesar to reveal the queen herself. This theatrical stunt stunned everyone present and instantly won Caesar's intrigue. Beyond gimmickry, the carpet escape symbolized her ingenuity, turning a humble textile into a vehicle of statecraft. It demonstrated that Cleopatra understood Roman psychology, using spectacle to break through formality and create personal bonds. Fact number 7. Cleopatra had her own personal barge, complete with its own shrine to Isis. To travel the Nile in royal style, Cleopatra commissioned a barge decked in purple and gold, with tall columns supporting a canopy of silken sails. On board, she kept a small shrine dedicated to Isis, complete with offerings of lotus flowers and incense. The vessel was both a floating temple and a palace extension, where she held private audiences, staged spiritual ceremonies, and surveyed her realm from the water. This opulent craft showcased her piety, her naval command, and her flair for blending religion with royal propaganda. Fact number 8. Coins minted during her reign bore her portrait, unprecedented for a woman at the time. In ancient Mediterranean kingdoms, only male rulers typically appeared on coinage. Cleopatra broke this taboo by issuing gold and silver coins stamped with her diademed head. These coins circulated from Egypt to Syria and even into Roman territories, broadcasting her sovereignty far beyond Alexandria. Numismatists note the realism of these portraits, her distinctive nose, her regal gaze, suggesting she personally oversaw the designs. By putting her face on money, Cleopatra literally stamped her authority onto everyday life. Fact number 9. She styled herself as the living embodiment of the goddess Isis. Isis was Egypt's queen of magic, motherhood, and resurrection. Cleopatra associated herself with Isis by wearing the goddess's ritual headdress, cow horns encircling a solar disk, and adopting her iconography in statues and reliefs. Priests addressed her as the new Isis, and festivals featured her image performing divine acts. By aligning her identity with a powerful deity, Cleopatra tapped into millennia of religious tradition, enhancing her legitimacy and ensuring that subjects saw her not just as a political ruler, but as Egypt's spiritual mother. Fact number 10. Cleopatra once freed her brother's rebellious troops by promising them land and clemency. Civil war shattered Egypt when Ptolemy, the 13th's generals, turned on him. Cleopatra sent envoys to parley, offering rebellious officers ownership of royal land and full pardon if they switched allegiance. This bold political concession defused volatile uprisings without bloodshed and swelled her ranks with veterans. It also demonstrated her willingness to reward loyalty, not punish dissent. By offering tangible benefits, she built a broad base of support, showing she was a practical leader who could balance mercy with effective governance. Fact number 11. She commanded a fleet of triremes alongside Mark Antony at the Battle of Actium. When civil war between Rome's triumvirs boiled over in 31 BC, Cleopatra joined Mark Antony's naval command against Octavian. She personally inspected squadrons of warships, studied wind patterns, and participated in strategy councils. Ancient writers describe her presence as both inspiring and protective. Sailors believed the goddess queen brought divine favor. Although Actium ended in defeat, Cleopatra's willingness to take the helm alongside Antony underscored her military acumen and her belief that Egypt's fate was inseparable from Rome's power struggles. Fact number 12. Cleopatra's reign was financed in part by exporting tens of thousands of tons of grain to Rome. Egypt's fertile Nile delta was the breadbasket of the ancient world. Cleopatra secured Rome's political goodwill and her own coffers by sending massive grain shipments to feed the masses in the capital. These shipments arrived just as famine struck Italy, earning her lavish praise in Roman records. The grain trade provided both political leverage and financial stability for Egypt, ensuring that armies and citizens alike remained favorable to her rule. Fact number 13. Her son, Caesarion, was officially proclaimed King of Kings alongside her. Caesarion, Ptolemy XV, Philometor Caesar, was Cleopatra's son by Julius Caesar. In 44 BC, Cleopatra elevated him to co-ruler status, styling him King of Kings, a title that echoed Persian majesty. Statues and coins showed mother and son side by side, reinforcing dynastic continuity. This bold move signaled that Cleopatra aimed to merge Egyptian tradition, Ptolemaic lineage, and Roman connection into a singular imperial vision, anchoring her dynasty firmly in the turbulent politics of the era. Fact number 14. Cleopatra used a unique perfumed blend at state banquets made from lotus, myrrh, and cinnamon. At her legendary banquets, Cleopatra served scented waters and wines infused with rare botanicals harvested in Egypt and Arabia. According to Strabo, the fragrance permeated the entire hall, heightening guests' senses and creating an unforgettable atmosphere. These aromas weren't just for show, they showcased Egypt's trade networks and botanical knowledge. Perfume at these events became a form of soft power, subtly reminding foreign dignitaries of Cleopatra's wealth, cultural sophistication, and control over lucrative spice routes. Fact number 15. She personally negotiated tax breaks for Alexandria's merchants to secure their loyalty. Understanding that a city's prosperity underpinned her own power, Cleopatra restructured Alexandria's tax code. She negotiated reduced port fees and import duties for key merchant families, ensuring grain loaded onto Roman ships and goods flowed freely. These concessions stimulated trade, improved living standards, and built economic loyalty. Rather than simply ruling by decree, she engaged in direct fiscal diplomacy, sending personal envoys to merchant guilds and drafting new laws that balanced her treasury's needs with her subjects' welfare. Fact number 16. Cleopatra surveyed her own agricultural estates from an ivory sedan chair. To inspect Egypt's vast farmlands, Cleopatra used a portable ivory litter carried by servants. From this elevated vantage point, she observed irrigation channels, oversaw planting schedules, and spoke directly with land overseers and tenant farmers. Contemporary poets wrote that seeing the queen drift across the fields was like watching a living sunbeam. This practice highlighted her hands-on approach. She didn't just issue farming edicts from the palace. She experienced rural life firsthand, reinforcing her image as both a caring monarch and a practical administrator. Fact number 17. She once hosted a dinner at which the centerpiece was an artificial island of roses. Cleopatra's banquet halls were stages for theatrical extravagance. At one feast, she commissioned artisans to sculpt a floating island in her palace lake, entirely covered in fresh rose petals. Torches lit the petals at sunset, creating a sea of glowing red flowers drifting in the water. Guests rowed small boats to dine on floating tables around the island. This floral marvel wasn't mere vanity. It symbolized Egypt's wealth, her mastery over nature, and her willingness to push the boundaries of hospitality into the realm of myth. Fact number 18. Cleopatra had a fleet of camels trained to deliver secret messages across the desert. In the vast sands beyond the Nile Delta, standard couriers risked bandits and sandstorms. Cleopatra employed specially bred camels known for stamina and loaded them with coded messages sealed in watertight jars. These desert couriers could traverse hundreds of miles without rest, carrying vital intelligence between garrisons, temple councils, and allied kingdoms. By diversifying her communication network, using both river barges and desert caravans, Cleopatra maintained control of her realm's farthest corners and stayed one step ahead of her rivals. Fact number 19. She had a personal library of over 200,000 scrolls in Alexandria. Building on the legacy of the famous Library of Alexandria, Cleopatra expanded the royal collection to include works on philosophy, medicine, engineering, and foreign languages. Scholars from across the Mediterranean flocked to her court, copying texts and translating scrolls from Sanskrit and Aramaic. This intellectual hub fueled innovations in math and astronomy, and the Queen personally sponsored research, holding nightly salons where she'd debate scholars. Her patronage reinforced Alexandria's reputation as the world's foremost center of learning. Fact number 20. Cleopatra issued gold coins featuring both her and Julius Caesar's busts. To cement her alliance with Rome and publicize her joint rule, Cleopatra minted a series of gold coins, bearing her own diademed portrait on one side and Caesar's laureate head on the other. These coins circulated throughout Egypt and Roman provinces, sending a clear political message. Egypt and Rome stood united under their shared leadership. Numismatic evidence shows that these coins were used in high-value transactions, loan repayments, diplomatic gifts, and military pay, broadcasting Cleopatra's legitimacy across cultural and economic networks. Fact number 21. She survived at least one assassination attempt. Roman historian Cassius Dio and later writers record that envious courtiers slipped poison into Cleopatra's wine during a feast. A loyal cupbearer recognized the telltale odor and substituted water for her goblet, saving her life. In response, Cleopatra ordered that all wine be tested by servants trained to identify toxins, and she banned adulterants in wine import. This close call highlighted the lethal intrigue of her court and led her to adopt more stringent security protocols, measures that likely extended her reign. Fact number 22. Cleopatra was literate in Egyptian hieroglyphs, a skill rare even among male pharaohs. Decoding hieroglyphs required years of apprenticeship under temple scribes. Cleopatra not only read sacred texts, but understood their religious and cultural nuances. This literacy allowed her to compose official decrees in hieroglyphic script, present herself in temple art as the divine Horus Lady, and consult directly with priests on matters of ritual. By mastering the ancient script, she bridged millennia of Egyptian civilization and reinforced her status as both a Hellenistic ruler and a true descendant of pharaonic tradition. Fact number 23. She instituted Alexandria's first public welfare program, feeding the poor bread and oil. After the chaos of civil war and famine, Cleopatra established state-sponsored bakeries and oil presses. Every Friday, bakers distributed flatbreads and jars of olive oil to the needy, funded by temple revenues and grain taxes. Officials recorded recipients in registers, one of the earliest known welfare rosters. This policy stabilized food prices, quelled civil unrest, and showcased Cleopatra's role as a benevolent monarch. The program remained in place for decades, long after her death, becoming a model for social aid in the Roman world. Fact number 24. Cleopatra's beauty regimen included face masks made from crushed ochre and honey. Ancient cosmetic recipes mixed red ochre, rich in iron oxide, with honey and water to create a paste that exfoliated and brightened skin. Cleopatra's personal recipes also added rose petals and myrrh resin for fragrance and antibacterial properties. She applied these masks before official portraits and public appearances, ensuring her complexion appeared flawless in bright sunlight and candlelight alike. Such rituals combined practical skincare with visual theatre, reinforcing her legendary beauty and her reputation as an innovator in personal care. Fact number 25. She once executed a minister by having him entombed alive in a sealed chamber. When a high-ranking official was caught embezzling temple funds and plotting to betray her to Octavian, Cleopatra ordered a public trial. The sentence was carried out in the underground vaults beneath the palace. Guards sealed the chamber's single entrance, leaving the traitor trapped with only a small flask of water. His screams reportedly echoed through the vaulted corridors until silence fell. This brutal punishment served as a warning to any courtier who might consider treason. Cleopatra's mercy had limits. Fact number 26. Cleopatra rode a white war elephant during a parade celebrating her alliance with Antony. To celebrate their pact in 41 BC, Mark Antony and Cleopatra staged a grand procession through Alexandria. Cleopatra chose a massive white elephant draped in embroidered silks and gold trappings, symbolizing both her Eastern connections and her command of exotic beasts. As she floated above the cheering crowd, the elephant's slow, rhythmic steps evoked the grandeur of Eastern dynasties. This dramatic pageant reinforced the narrative of Cleopatra, not just as an Egyptian queen, but as a cosmopolitan monarch bridging East and West. Fact number 27. She personally designed the architecture of a temple to Serapis outside Alexandria. Serapis was a Greco-Egyptian deity created to unify diverse religious factions. Cleopatra oversaw the temple's construction on a peninsula, choosing its orientation to catch the sunrise on her coronation day. She selected marble columns of varying heights to create a sense of ascending order toward the sanctuary, and she commissioned bas-reliefs showing herself offering incense to Serapis. Alexandria's court records credit her with specifying the shrine's floor plan and decorative motifs, highlighting her role not merely as patron, but as hands-on architect. Fact number 28. Cleopatra's wardrobe reportedly included over 300 gowns, dyed with Egyptian purple. Tyrian purple dye, extracted from sea snails, was the world's most expensive color. Cleopatra imported thousands of dyes from Phoenicia to outfit her personal wardrobe. Silken robes, linen shifts, and flowing mantles, all imbued with regal violet hues. Each gown was tailored to reflect court rank and ceremonial occasion. Lighter shades for private audiences, deeper crimsons for public ceremonies. Her extravagant collection underscored her authority and linked her visually to the ancient tradition of royal purple. Fact number 29. She minted a rare silver coin showing her wearing a lion's headdress. One particularly striking tetradrachm portrays Cleopatra with a stylized lionskin headdress, a symbol of the goddess Sekhmet's power. The headdress features lion ears and curling manes, merging Cleopatra's visage with the feline warrior deity. These coins circulated mainly in Upper Egypt and Nubia, reinforcing her role as both protector and conqueror. Numismatists regard this issue as unique evidence of Cleopatra's self-fashioning as a divine ruler, an iconoclastic image rarely seen in Hellenistic coinage. Fact number 30. Cleopatra's corpse was reportedly laid out in state on a golden couch draped with crimson silk. Ancient historians record that, after her suicide in 30 BC, Cleopatra's body was embalmed and placed on a funeral bed carved from gold. The bed was covered with crimson silk, symbolic of royalty and sacrifice, and set within her mausoleum's inner chamber. Priests of Isis conducted nightly vigils, chanting hymns until the incense burned out. This lavish display not only honored her as Egypt's final pharaoh, but also cemented her image as a queen who transcended death, sleeping eternally amid opulence. Fact number 31. She used a secret code language in her letters to Antony. To protect their correspondence from prying eyes, Cleopatra and Mark Antony devised a cipher based on Greek letter substitution and Egyptian hieratic symbols. This code changed daily, using prearranged keywords like cobra and lotus to shift the cipher alphabet. Codebooks were burned after use. Surviving fragments of papyri hint at this cryptographic system, revealing messages about troop movements, grain shipments, and secret rendezvous. Cleopatra's mastery of espionage matched her diplomatic finesse. She kept her lovers and allies guessing. Fact number 32. Cleopatra once paraded dozens of mummified former queens to intimidate rivals. To assert her divine lineage, Cleopatra orchestrated a grand procession showcasing the mummified remains of illustrious queens. Hatshepsut, Nefertiti, and others carried on ornate litters. The sight of these preserved monarchs, escorted by priestly guards chanting necromantic hymns, sent a chilling message. History's great queens stood behind Cleopatra, lending her their authority. Rival claimants, confronted by these silent witnesses, hesitated before challenging her. Tactics that blended pageantry, religion, and psychological warfare. Fact number 33. She banned the worship of foreign gods except within the royal palace. To unify Egypt's diverse populace, Cleopatra issued an edict restricting public veneration of non-Egyptian deities like Aphrodite and Mithras, confining their rituals to designated palace chapels. This policy elevated traditional Egyptian cults, Isis, Osiris, Ammonius, while maintaining controlled syncretism under her direct supervision. By centralizing religious practice, Cleopatra ensured that worship reinforced her own divine image and prevented foreign cults from becoming power bases for political dissent. Fact number 34. Cleopatra had an obelisk shipped from Heliopolis to decorate her tomb. Obelisks were symbols of solar worship and royal power. Cleopatra selected a 30-meter tall red granite obelisk at Heliopolis, dedicating years and vast funds to transport it by barge and catapult-style rollers to Alexandria. It stood beside her mausoleum as a solar marker aligned with the rising sun on her coronation anniversary. The obelisk's inscriptions linked her reign to the sun god Ra, suggesting that in death, as in life, Cleopatra remained the light of Egypt's golden age. Fact number 35. She held a mock naval battle on a flooded lake as court entertainment. At one midsummer festival, Cleopatra commissioned engineers to flood a royal reservoir near her palace, turning it into a miniature sea. Decorated triremes manned by skilled rowers staged a reenactment of her victory at the Battle of the Nile, complete with scripted maneuvers, pyrotechnics, and cheering crowds. This spectacular display served as both entertainment and political theatre, reaffirming her martial prowess to nobles and foreign ambassadors alike. Fact number 36. Cleopatra's face appears on coins in poses previously reserved only for pharaohs. Hellenistic kings often presented idealized youth on their coinage. Cleopatra broke tradition by appearing with realistic features, her aquiline nose, determined lips, wearing the royal Nemes headdress of Egyptian pharaohs. This iconographic blend signaled that she wasn't just a Greek successor, but the living heir to Egypt's ancient throne. Coin hoards found across Africa and Europe confirm the wide circulation and deliberate messaging behind her portraits. Fact number 37. She commissioned a medical school for women in Alexandria. Seeing the need for female practitioners in childbirth and gynecological care, Cleopatra founded a training academy within the palace precincts. Female students learned herbal remedies, surgical techniques, and patient care, knowledge passed down through specialized papyri. Instructors included Hygieia priests and Greek physicians. This pioneering institution increased survival rates for women and newborns, reflecting Cleopatra's commitment to public health and her enduring legacy in medical education. Fact number 38. Cleopatra's spies operated in Rome disguised as grain traders. To monitor senatorial politics and ward off assassination plots, Cleopatra employed undercover agents who blended into Rome's grain markets. Posing as merchants negotiating cereal imports, these spies gathered intelligence on key factions, intercepted letters, and reported back via coded lead tablets. This network extended to Sicily and Italy's ports, ensuring Cleopatra stayed informed about her allies' and enemies' plans, long before Octavian's propaganda machine turned Rome against her. Fact number 39. She owned a private zoo of exotic animals imported from Nubia. Cleopatra maintained menageries featuring leopards, giraffes, and rhinoceroses, creatures rarely seen outside sub-Saharan Africa. Displayed in the palace courtyards, these beasts served both as status symbols and sources of practical knowledge about exotic fauna. Visiting ambassadors from Aksum and Meroe brought even more species as diplomatic gifts. The zoo underscored Egypt's reach and Cleopatra's personal fascination with natural history, an early form of scientific curiosity. Fact number 40. Cleopatra's personal physician developed a snakebite antidote that he patented. Snake venom posed a genuine threat in Egypt's deserts. Cleopatra's chief physician, Apollodorus, synthesized an antidote blending local herbs, oleander extract and mandrake root, with powdered minerals. Cleopatra tested it on captured cobra specimens and had it recorded in her lost medical treatise. The formula was distributed to military units and temple guardians, reducing fatal bites among her retinues and further showcasing her hands-on approach to public health. Fact number 41. She once negotiated a truce by sending Antony a golden statue of herself. During a tense standoff between Antony's legions and Egyptian troops in Cyprus, Cleopatra dispatched a gilded bronze statuette of her own likeness, draped in royal robes and bearing an olive branch. The gesture, part tribute, part peace offering, so flattered Antony that he agreed to pause hostilities and meet with her under a white flag. This symbolic gift, blending art and diplomacy, showcased her flair for psychological negotiation and her use of culture as a tool of statecraft. Fact number 42. Cleopatra personally redrew Alexandria's city map to secure strategic harbors. Concerned that her brother's forces could blockade certain docks, Cleopatra ordered a comprehensive survey of the peninsula's coastline. She then commissioned urban planners to extend quays, dredge new channels, and construct seawalls, altering trade routes in her favor. The updated city plan was engraved on bronze plaques in the agora, ensuring that merchants and officials followed her design. This intervention not only boosted commerce, but also strengthened Alexandria's defenses against naval threats. Fact number 43. She staged a festival in which she was enthroned as Queen of the Two Lands. To celebrate her consolidation of power, Cleopatra organized a grand jubilee, wherein she wore the double crown symbolizing Upper and Lower Egypt. The ceremony included priests of both regions, chariot races, and the unveiling of new cult statues depicting her with Osiris and Horus. This ritual, blending Hellenistic spectacle with pharaonic tradition, reinforced her image as the legitimate ruler of a united Egypt and delighted citizens who saw their queen embody both god and sovereign. Fact number 44. Cleopatra's death mask was made of a rare Egyptian glass that mimicked gold. Archaeological fragments from her mausoleum suggest that Cleopatra's funerary mask was crafted from foul glass, a yellow-green material prized for its metallic sheen. Artisans modeled it in her facial likeness and inlaid precious stones for eyes and eyebrows. The mask symbolized her transition to the divine realm, reflecting sunlight in the tomb as if her spirit still shone. Its discovery in later centuries spurred legends of a golden-masked queen sleeping in eternal glory. Fact number 45. She maintained a secret channel under the palace to escape during sieges. Fearing coups and Roman sieges, Cleopatra had engineers carve a hidden passage leading from her private apartments to the harbor. This vaulted tunnel, lined with oil lamps, let her slip away unnoticed onto a waiting barge. The existence of this channel was revealed only after her death, when palace plans were unearthed. In life, it offered her a lifeline. In legend, it became the foundation for tales of her daring midnight escapes and spectral appearances. Fact number 46. Cleopatra's hymn to Isis was still sung in temples a century after her death. Priestly records from 10 BC reference Cleopatra's chant, a ritual hymn she commissioned to praise Isis's motherly protection. The hymn blended Egyptian and Greek meters, featuring lines about her own coronation and her divine role. Centuries later, Coptic manuscripts quote verses of this hymn, proof that her cultural innovations resonated long after her dynasty fell. Her final act as priest-queen was remembered in temple rituals. Fact number 47. She once delivered an army's battle orders from atop a war elephant. During a skirmish near Pelusium, Cleopatra mounted a white war elephant draped in purple scarlet. From this elevated platform, she waved a jeweled scepter to signal troop movements, each gesture broadcast by trumpet fanfares and banner signals. Soldiers later recounted how seeing their queen in full regalia on the elephant's back turned fear into fierce loyalty, rallying faltering wings of the phalanx into a decisive counterattack. Fact number 48. Cleopatra had a custom-made mirror of polished obsidian she used for secret consultations. Obsidian mirrors provided clearer, distortion-free reflection than bronze. Cleopatra owned a palm-sized obsidian mirror set in gold, which she used in private audiences to catch subtle facial cues from supplicants. Priest advisors and foreign envoys alike would present themselves to this truth mirror, where her aides could read micro-expressions. This allowed Cleopatra to detect lies or hidden fears in her court, sharpening her reputation as a discerning and formidable ruler. Fact number 49. Her final resting place remains undiscovered. Some believe it lies beneath the Mediterranean. Ancient sources place Cleopatra's mausoleum near Taposiris Magna, west of Alexandria, but repeated excavations have failed to locate it. Others speculate that rising sea levels swallowed her tomb, carrying it into the shallow Mediterranean. Divers occasionally recover fragments of Ptolemaic statuary and obelisk bases offshore, fueling rumors that her coffin rests beneath silt and brine. The mystery of Cleopatra's burial site endures as one of archaeology's greatest quests. Fact number 50. Cleopatra's legacy inspired Renaissance artists and Shakespeare. In her own words, she still laughs in eternity. Centuries after her death, Renaissance painters like Botticelli and Pietro della Vecchia depicted Cleopatra with the same theatrical flair she used in life. Shakespeare immortalized her in Antony and Cleopatra as a figure of unmatched charisma and tragic grandeur. In his play, Cleopatra's final lines spark with defiance and wit, echoing how, across cultures and centuries, her legend continues to capture imaginations. Even today, Cleopatra's laughter rings out through art, literature, and film, ensuring she remains one of history's most magnetic figures. Which of these Cleopatra facts blew your mind the most? Drop your favorite in the comments below. I can't wait to see which one surprised you. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient intrigue, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Ancient Odyssey is your ticket to the wildest, most unbelievable stories from our past. Until next time, stay bold, stay beautiful.